Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. Winter meetings are over. Where are we at? And there's been a bunch more signings and trade. We got to catch up, Trev. Catch up. Let's talk ball. Jeffrey Springs.
Fuck. Swing and miss.
Come on, lefty? Right into the sweet spot.
No.
Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball, presented to you by SeatGeek, code TALKIN10. Go check out whatever has a seat. I'm Jake Storielli, joined by Trevor Plouffe, Rob Scirocco producing. December 16th. I mean, it's almost time for the big man to come down the chimney. And hopefully Santa's got a couple gifts remaining for your baseball teams, because there's still a lot of big free agents out there. Yeah. There's still going to be some trades. But coming out of winter meetings, like that's the window. And we saw it. Like, we still got a whole sheet of guys. I didn't know Conforto got $17 million. What? Okay,
the Dodgers just sneaky, just handing out money, complimentary pieces. They're on another level, Jake.
Hey,
they really
Conforto,
are.
You come in and platoon with Teat? I don't know. They haven't signed him yet. Trev, you have kind of some big news off the field. I don't know if you want to tell the people.
I do. Well, number one, very sick yesterday.
Yeah.
I told you I was at my youth team's game. We were in the championship game. We got these guys playing so good. The improvement has been drastic. But Olivia and I got some sort of stomach bug, so I was puking at the field, like just not having a good time. We were up 11-1 in the championship game in like the fourth inning and ended up losing. And we had a bunch of crying kids. And I was like, dude, you guys should be crying.
Yeah.
But then late last night, we went and picked up a dog. It's been in the works for quite some time. So we got to surprise our kids this morning, dude. It's very cute. And we've been kind of thinking about it for a while, but we finally did it.
Proud
so I'm sick, but I'm happy.
You got some great moments ahead. Teddy and Isla, I mean, they're already cute enough, but you throw a puppy in the mix, and that's just memes. And then, I'll tell you the real, on the dirt, you're going to have some tough puppy moments.
Yeah.
Like something you like is going to get destroyed, and that's okay. And then the other one that kind of gets me, like when we got Noodle, I was like, hey, if we take care of this, knock on wood and everything, I was like, this dog is going to be at my 40th birthday. And like, I got him when I was like 27. So I don't know. Some of those thoughts start coming in, and
we don't need to start talking about time and relativity.
I was just going to say our Insta DMs have been ruined lately. Yeah. Trev's traveling to other galaxies. And we don't know how to get back, but we can do it.
You can get back at just 4 million years later, yeah.
And I think it's the 10-year release of Interstellar. So let's save that for the end. Let's get into ball talk, Trev.
Okay.
Because I've been poking fun at baseball fans because they keep saying like, hey, we need this window of baseball transactions where like a lot of it goes down. And we kind of do have that with winter meetings. Sure, it'd be cool if some more action happened, but we also got to get to February, and there's going to be more action along the way. So I want to kind of do a zoom out wide and see like where we're at. I don't know if we want to say winners and losers. That's the clicky way to do it, but there is a big Mets signing, and they've had a ton of other signings. Like, we still haven't talked Clay Holmes and some of the other action there. But just see where we're at in general, and then catch up on everything. Andres Gimenez trade. Golly.
I got a couple, I think,
Jake Berger.
Off the sheet winners and losers. I think there's some really fun things going on around baseball. Yeah, we could talk about hey, you know who won? Juan Soto.
Juan Soto won.
Because every single day we hear about his contract is not 15 years, 765. Oh, it's 15 years, 855. And then it's like plus some perks and sweets. And his mom has a clothing allotment.
What's that
What
about?
is going on?
What's that? That feels like, Trev, I haven't been in the CBA, but that's mom's shopping allotment? I don't know.
That's the beauty. I mean, look, for as much as players feel like they've lost in the last two CBAs. I mean, there's still something to be proud of if you're a baseball player where like you can kind of do anything in contracts. You can't do that in other sports.
Right.
In baseball, it's like kind of like whatever you want. You can tamper, you can do all sorts of stuff.
Cespedes got horses, right? Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
If I could go back in time and just ask for some more stuff, I would. Just to say I did it.
Right. Just say I did ask for that. Because there's no limits. I want tickets to the Minnesota Wild. You know what? Maybe you want some Corona. Yeah. Today's episode is sponsored by Corona. It's for the fan that never loses. And here's what I mean. My team doesn't win every single night. I was sad about a signing about a week and a half ago. And then they went out and they started winning some other signings. And whether it's a homer, a touchdown, a dunk this time of year, there's always something to cheer for. And the best beer to pair with awesome moments, it's Corona. Corona is all about finding the maximum amount of joy within every moment of the game. Win or lose, at home or on the road, it's the perfect beer for baseball watching and all the moments that come with it. So cheers to everyone who loves the game beyond the scoreboard. Corona for the fan who never loses. Get yours at ordercorona.com. 21 plus, relax responsibly. Corona Extra Beer, imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois. Trev, where to? Who won? You said you have some off the board winners. That's what I'm talking about.
I do. One is kind of obvious, and I think that we will be talking about this team quite a bit in the coming year. The Washington Nationals. This dude, like,
really?
The Major League Baseball draft lottery, no one even thinks about it. It's just like in
Trev. It
just happens, and then it's like, oh yeah, this is the draft order now. That's very important, dude. Like, I think I don't know exactly what their odds were. I believe it was like 25%, and you know me and my percentages. I am not good with them. There's no doubt about that. But they weren't necessarily favored to get the number one pick. Boom! All of a sudden, you know, your draft changes. The number one overall pick, they're going to select Ethan Holiday now. Like, he's been the consensus number one pick going forward. So, like, you don't even have to focus on your top pick anymore. He's going to be your guy, barring something crazy happening. And now you can kind of go and set your sights on, you know, the next couple rounds. But we're talking about a team that is already kind of up and coming. They've drafted high the last couple of years, no doubt about it. You know, they have James Wood, they have Dylan Cruz coming up. We like kind of the young core that they've had on their team. They have some money to spend. Like, this is a team that, again, there's things before the draft lottery that we were looking forward to, but now they have a number one pick coming their way, and no one's really even talking about it. Like, I just think that is very important, and clearly that's a organizational win for the Nationals. And again, I called upon them last year. I said, this team's gonna be fun to watch. Check them out. They were kind of in a running for, you know, a wild card spot there for a little bit. Definitely tapered off. Yeah. CJ Abrams did not have a good second half. There's a lot of weird talk about him, but they have some players there and you know, cost-effective dudes because they're young. Again, I just think we're going to be talking a ton about them this year and then the following year. Like, this is the team that is up and coming. This is Orioles in 2023, if you will, in my opinion. So I think they are a clear winner of the winter meetings just because they got that number one slot.
As long as they're not the Orioles in 2025, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Trev, unbelievable place to start. That's why you're different.
Isn't it true though?
No, I mean that's massive. And if you go into recent draft history, like, you know, the top of the board, there's not as much miss as there used to be. That changes the Nats' outlook a little bit. I mean, not immediate, but when we're talking some of these big free agent plans, these 3-year plans, these 4-year plans, like, you know, this is a little bit of what I like to label turkey math, which is really an inside joke that's now been brought to John Boy Media, but it's just making the math make sense in your head. Like, maybe if you're the Nationals, who are this they're a big budget team. We've seen them have big budgets. They offered Soto, 430 a couple years ago, and now look. Either way, like signing, let's say if they sign Pete Alonso, and it's 6 years, 25 mil a year, whatever that lands at. No one could do that math. Hey, in 6 years when it's time to lock up Dylan Cruz or it's time to lock up Ethan Holiday, like that 25 mil, you can kind of, in theory, roll that over to the next guy. I know that's not necessarily how it works, but when you're keeping the financials or talking to ownership, it kind of can work out that way. So the Nationals, who have been quiet, although, that Connor Pilkington minor league contract, I know you did want to discuss serious arm talent. We're starting with the Nats. Good.
So I think 25% is very big odds to get the number one pick.
Yes.
They actually had a 10.2% chance of getting it, and the ping pong ball went their way. Last year, we saw the Cleveland Guardians they had a 2% chance, and this is a team that they weren't tanking, they weren't and they get the number one overall pick. They're able to trade Andres Gimenez because of the guy that they got with their number one overall pick. The Nationals, Jake, for reference, they've had 2 number one picks prior to this upcoming draft. Do you know who they were? I bet you do.
Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
It's good. Steven Strasburg.
Yeah, those are pretty impactful players, dude. So this means something. This is why I have them as, obviously one of the winners of the meeting.
Yeah, I guess Seattle, who's become the opposite of the apple of our eye, the ire of our eye. Not a phrase. Seattle moved up, I think, 14 spots. They got the 3 pick. So again, draft a pitcher. Okay, so you've got the Washington Nationals, who currently still rumored to be in on guys. Man, it is funny looking at their lineup. Where are they going to get the real pop from? And that's why there's Pete Alonso rumors there. They could also use a veteran pitcher to kind of groom some of those young. Gibby. It's always been Gibby.
No, we have another landing spot for Gibby.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're going to get into that.
We'll reveal that later. Hey, you know what, Trev? I'm going to keep it down there.
Okay.
Because the Orioles are currently in the L column. I mean,
okay,
I already
loser.
I already took my Yankees jab a little bit, but you're talking about the excitement of having top picks and going like, hey, that Tyler O'Neill contract, I think we were more happy for Tyler O'Neill than the Orioles. I like the signing for them. Don't get me wrong. I like that signing. Now, like, are you trying to replace Santander's numbers? Like, I mean, shoot, you might get there with Tyler O'Neill. Like, they got a great season last year. So I don't, that's not a bad signing at all. I just think we're expecting them to do more. We expected them to possibly go out and try to get Crochet. We expected them to figure out a replacement for Corbin Burns. And they haven't been able to do that. So I don't want to downplay the Tyler O'Neill deal. I do like that deal, but I think to your point we want more. Yeah, and I mean maybe it would have been fair to start with like the Boston Red Sox side of it. Like going through the AL right now, the AL feels thin. And I know we did this in the postseason, but the Yankees lost, probably I don't know. The Yankees lost an all MLB hitter last year. Now they're replacing it with some pitching. The Red Sox feel like they've joined the party for the first time. Nobody knows really what's going on out west. Like tell me who you love out west, especially if you take away Houston's natural pedigree at this point. And then the vaunted AL Central we'll get to, but like I don't know, man. For Baltimore, we got this new ownership group. We're gonna sign people. We even brought in the Wall, which we moved the Wall back to sign free agent pitchers, right? So now we didn't sign any free agent pitchers. We brought the Wall back in. Where does that leave us? I don't know. If I'm Baltimore, I'm just a little panicked.
They started squirting water on people though, so it all evens out. Yeah,
right.
That's fine. It gets hot there in the summertime. Yeah, I'm curious to see kind of the direction that they go. I mean, they were one of the best stories over the last couple of years. We saw them come up. I think a lot of us balked at their success in 2023. Then it was kind of undeniable. You win 101 games in the big leagues. Hey, man, like you got something going on there. Um, I think we saw some. I think there's a lot to still like about the Baltimore Orioles. We saw some of their young guys have some success. Colton Cowser had a nice year, but we saw Jackson Holiday come up, and I think he was the one, the star that we were hoping would just come out and run away with Rookie of the Year, and like he struggled. And I think that's, if you're taking a realistic approach, like, oh yeah, like probably gonna struggle, dude. Like the big leagues is very difficult. There's a ton of pressure on this kid, so he's gonna be okay. If they get all those guys contributing again, yes. Do they need to go out and get some starting pitching? Yeah, they do. But there's still some guys out on the board that I think make sense for them. Are they going to be able to land them? We'll see. But I agree with you. Like in that division, there's other teams making moves, and they're kind of falling back. If I'm doing my power rankings of the AL East right now,
you like Boston, Trev.
I think I'm going Yankees. I think I'm going Boston. I think the Blue Jays are last for me. And then Rays and Orioles, I don't really know. And that's just because I give the Rays a lot of respect, even though sometimes they don't deserve it. But so you're sitting third or fourth in that division in my mind. And I don't know if anyone could prove me wrong there.
And I guess that's the point. And hey, Baltimore Birds fans, if you guys are getting a little hot and bothered right now, they're
not. How could you be? We're telling the truth, man. You lost. Corbin Burns isn't there anymore.
Right. Santander. I guess, Trev, it's just for me, it's the whole movement of baseball that hey, Orioles re-signed Corbin Burns. This is a very different conversation. Orioles have something else up their sleeve, Dylan Cease or something like that. But this is supposed to be, they were the example.
Yeah.
And it was, we're going to see Baltimore for the next 5 years.
They were the next Astros.
Right. They got that guy, Sig, from the Astros front office, and Adley Rutschman, we're starting to build a Hall of Fame plaque, and his last year got really weird, and now, Gunner's the alpha dog, which
Gunner's the freaking guy.
Awesome. But I don't know, man.
Oil fans, I'm gonna sprinkle some cheese on a Gunner to win AL MVP next year.
Okay. I like that.
I will. Yeah.
But yeah, when we talk AL powers, the fact that them and the Red Sox are on the same podium right now, they weren't supposed to. This was supposed to be the go button. Their GM's talking about we're not going to trade a lot of our prospects because we've already done some of that. And I think you got to say that because otherwise, that's just good negotiating at a certain point. But I don't know. I think Orioles fans have to be a little scared, and maybe the bigger chunk of that is because Boston, if you're looking around at who's next, it's starting to look like the Boston Red Sox.
They get a new owner in there, and I think a lot of people were very excited about that. And I'm curious, sometimes when guys are minority owners and they come up and they step into the majority stake, there's a lot of expectations there. The dude's from Baltimore. Seems like he's having a good time there. I think initially there's all this yeah, let's go. We're going to raise payroll. We're going to go do this. And then when they jump into the business, maybe they start to get a little, gun shy. I don't know. But Rubenstein was supposed to come in and make a splash. And he hasn't done that yet, but there's still time.
Right. And that's the beautiful part about this. Going back to the San Francisco Giants last year, some of these teams aren't going to get their work done until January, February, and it's going to be a little nervous over the holidays. But hell, even the Padres traded for Dylan Cease right before their first game. They were playing in where were they playing? Tokyo? And Dylan Cease had to take the late flight by himself out there, meet the team. Hey guys. Be funny if that happens again to him. Kind of crazy, just losing spring trainings, not with your... That's when you build camaraderie with the fellas, Trev.
Can I stay on the L train?
Please.
And I'm going to stay in the AL East and say the Toronto Blue Jays?
Talk about them. And why don't we mention, while we're doing this, the Andres Gimenez trade, which was one of the interesting things that kind of snuck through the radar, some might say, at winter meetings. But Andres Gimenez, the Platinum Glover, his first full season with Cleveland, he had like an 8-WAR season. It was like a 7-7. He got what we thought was a team-friendly extension that I now think that's a little up in the air, depending how you value Andres Gimenez. Andres Gimenez and Nick Sandlin, who's been a solid reliever in that Cleveland bullpen, but they have so many guys who you could label that way. For Spencer Horwitz, who got the call last year for Toronto and did some hitting, and then another prospect, Nick Mitchell, in the trade. Spencer Horwitz got flipped off after that for your guy, Luis Ortiz. How about that? Your boy. But for the Blue Jays, well, I'll let you go now that that's teed up, but that's kind of what has been Toronto's offseason up until this point.
Last year, their bullpen struggled mightily. They got Nick Sandlin from the Guardians in that deal as well. I love Andres Gimenez. I think he is an awesome player. We talk about him and Rocky out the middle all the time. He obviously brings a ton of value to the team. I think the reason I am saying that they are the losers right now, number one, like they've obviously underperformed at the big league level. And I'm looking right now at their rankings last year. 23rd in runs, 26th in homers, 27th in stolen bases. Their offense was just not there last year. Starting pitchers, middle of the pack. Relievers, no good. Obviously, the bright spot was Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Right.
The reports are now that they offered him, a $340 million extension that he turned down. If I'm the Blue Jays, I got to start thinking about moving him now, even though that was already like a thought. Like the reports now that you offered him this deal, and now we know for sure that he said no to it. I think that you got to think about moving him and kind of retooling, regrouping, whatever you want to call it. Because right now, again, we just talked about the AL East pecking order. They're probably sitting in last place, Jake.
Right.
So you got this guy. You just saw the haul that, and is Vladdy Kyle Tucker? Like, I know, but like he's pretty dang close as far as value to a team. He hits the shit out of the ball, man. So you could go get a haul for this guy and figure out what you got to do. And maybe you trade Bichette too. And if you they need a new direction, like the direction they're going, this winning the team defensive award. Hey, you're going to win it again, probably. You just brought a guy over that all he does is play defense.
Right.
Like, great, but that hasn't worked for them. So I just have them right now is in this no man's land where they probably are going to have to trade Vladdy, because if you don't, he walks, you get a compensation pick for him. So I just think that for a team that had so much promise over the last couple of years, they just kind of never lived up to it. And now they're in a position where they're probably going to have to trade their best player.
It's a similar story, right? Like this Blue Jays core, we knew everyone's last name because we knew their parents who were like Hall of Fame baseball guys. And now they're here, and man, Blue Jays fans, I know they have some of the most animosity for Yankee fans. So, hey, I love you. I love the Great North. Like, what do you guys think of the trade? Because I'll be honest, the first thing that went through my head, dude, Andres Gimenez playing defense it's art. Like it's a form of art. The footwork and what he does, like I want to put on classical music and watch Andres Gimenez do what he did. Like watch Andres Gimenez highlights and put on classical music. Maybe have a cappuccino. Like that's the dream Saturday afternoon. Bichette, and for how much I love Bichette the hitter, like I took his over on hits the past couple seasons. Like he had his first real hiccup at the major league level last year between injuries and performance. And the thing with the shortstop market, we talked about how it's nothing. For me, if you're trading for that Andres Gimenez contract, I'm wondering if the Blue Jays are like, let's put him back at short. And Bichette is on the trade table. And I know his value is not at his highest, but there's still value for shortstops because right now it's Ha-Seong
Sure.
Kim.
He has a track record.
Right, and Ha-Seong Kim is a totally different value prop. Like, I think we've done some Bichette to the Braves, and, like, imagine, like, and instead of him being the leadoff hitter or the two-hole hitter, carry the team, Bo, like, they're like, hey, Bo, you're going to hit 5th or 6th. Like, I could see that panning out really well for the Braves like it did with Chris Sale. Very different. But, you know, Trev, Gimenez's contract, he's making $10 million this year, 15 next year, and then it's 23, 23, 23 with a team option for 2030. In the past 2 years, he hasn't hit, but he's been easily the best defensive second baseman who came up as a shortstop that, for me, I'm trying to get in the Blue Jays front office's head. If we're going to take on that contract, it can't be for him to play defense and have a 90 OPS plus at second, right? So I don't know. That's where I'm trying to crunch those numbers, and it's not computing on my end unless you're going to slot him somewhere else and build his value back up.
It's interesting. I didn't know it shot up that much, and this is obviously why the Guardians were looking to deal him. I mean, they got a couple years out of him for pretty cheap. You know, a lot of value. They got, plus, you know, they ended up flipping some players in the return for starting pitching. So Guardians did a good job with this. Maybe they're part of the W section of the winter meetings. Losing him is tough, but, you know, they had to, refill that starting rotation. So they're trying to do that. Yeah, that's interesting with moving him to short. There would be teams lining up to get Bichette, even though he had a bad year last year offensively and defensively. It's a mixed bag. Sometimes I watch him play and I'm like, hey, that guy's got it. And there's other times where I watch him play, I'm like, you don't got it. And maybe that's a little bit of a focus thing. Sometimes guys get comfortable. You get a new situation where you feel like people are really counting on you, and maybe you put in a little extra work. It's really the only way to get better defensively. Said it on the show many times. You got to put in the work, the extra hours, all the extra ground balls. That's the only way to get better. And maybe a little kick in the butt would do that to him. But I still think he has the ability to play at least like an okay.
He makes the highlight plays, and that's just one of those. Is it focus? Is it footwork? Is it I don't know. But that's like
Blue Jays, where are you going?
I picture the headline, dude, like the plays Gimenez makes, and maybe that should be more the focus. The plays Gimenez makes at second base paired next to Bichette. Like, we saw this be a problem with the Padres. It was Bogarts next to Kim, and everyone was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
That's almost the exact same situation with some different contracts in play. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there's any Vladdy smoke. Because if you're not going to extend them, the East isn't going to line up for you this year. And it just becomes, okay, is his trade value the same at the deadline where teams are maybe needier and you could get a bidding war? You'd like to think
I think it's comparable whether you go now or the deadline. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's coming off a friggin' fantastic year.
Right. Like, why even risk it? And if you're a team and if you can pay for that 1 year, feels like there's going to be some rumors around that. I mean, San Francisco Giants, I know, would love to get their hands on them. Are they winners or losers? Or are they eating steaks, Trev? Omaha Steaks, baby, yeah. Do you want to send a meaningful gift that's more than just stuff? How about stuff you can eat? A gift that'll deliver an experience during this holiday season. Look no further than Omaha Steaks, America's original butcher since 1917. I mean, we're talking Fenway, like the Curse, 1918. That's gone. They won a bunch of titles. Omaha Steaks is still here. Finest grain-finished beef, extra age, flash frozen at peak flavor and delivered right to your door. Every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. They got everything, man. Their burgers are delicious. Chicken, pork, seafood, and even desserts. Yep. And now you can deliver the perfect gift of comfort and joy with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com. 50% off site-wide on unforgettable gifts and more. And for an extra $30 off, use promo code TALKIN at checkout. 50% off at omahasteaks.com. Add an extra $30 off with promo code TALKIN at checkout. Minimum purchase may apply. Go check them out, guys. Trev?
My dad's actually got me an Omaha steak like bundle, like a gift card for Christmas before. One of the best gifts I've ever gotten. It's awesome.
It like makes grocery shopping easier. It makes like okay, so we got dinner tomorrow night.
You know what happens is you end up ordering from it, you get the package, and you're like, dude, let's just throw a dinner party. Like we got all this meat. And then so it turns into a night, man. There's nothing like memories, Jake, okay?
We got all this meat. Like hearing you say that. I feel like we've been doing a lot of East Coast, but
you need to give us a W, okay? You got one?
I need to fly the W. Am I happy with the Cubs? I'm half happy. Am I happy with the Athletics? I mean, it's obviously the Mets, and maybe this one's quick because they got Soto, and he's a generational talent, and there's more coming out in the contract that we were laughing about earlier on in the show. For me, when they signed Soto, we still gave a little, like, what's next? And it doesn't have to be a lot, but, like, is Pete Alonso coming back? Are they going to add more to the pitching staff because you'd think so? Because the two guys they added, Frankie Montas and Clay Holmes is going to try to transition from a reliever role, and I just like that. I want to be fair to Clay. I don't think his stuff you'd naturally look at, and I think we've differed on this. Like, he's got a crazy sinker that plays all day. So if you want that to be the argument, but normally you'd look at a reliever and be like, hey, they've got 3 to 4 pitches. Like, let's stretch you out and make you a starter. That's not necessarily where Clay lands, but Stearns has brought the Milwaukee pitching factory over there that I think their game plan is give us arm talent and we'll be able to make it work with our pitching coach and our lab, that if we have Juan Soto and Lindor and Vientos and Nimmo and McNeil and Marte and Alvarez, like, we're going to hit and we're going to figure out the pitching. That I'm still interested to see the next steps. But, dude, Mets fans they feel like they had a cloud lifted from over them.
Yeah, I mean, the Soto, just Google Soto contract details, and it's a fun read. And I imagine him going and talking to the Steinbrenners and Cashman and be like, this is what I want. And then being like, no, like, we can never do that. And then he goes over to Cohen, and he's like, whatever you want, big dog. He got 22 seats in like the premier diamond section plus a suite.
Yeah.
Like, who's coming to all these games, bro?
I don't know.
You don't have I love you, Juan Soto. Nobody called you from the Yankees. There's no way you have 40 friends coming to every single game. I love you. Like, I'm a pretty like social guy. There's no way I could have 40 friends coming to a game. So are these going to be for his charity? Who knows? But that's just, it is funny. And look, I do think they are winners. Doesn't matter. Again, I said, it's not an overpay. If you got it like Steve Cohen has it, he doesn't care.
Right.
Like, for me, when I order Chipotle and all of a sudden it's $20, I'm like, that's not worth $20, but I'm going to eat it and be happy. If Steve Cohen went and paid $20 for a meal, he'd be like, that's the cheapest meal I've ever got in my life. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You don't think Uncle Steve's got like, he has a sausage, egg, and cheese for $8 every Sunday or something like that? Come on.
I don't know. I'm just saying, dude, these guys, like, this money's different to them. So yes, like, it's a lot of money, and who knows what the end of this contract is going to look like. We've seen it, with a bunch of guys, Miguel Cabrera, Albert Pujols. We're talking first ballot Hall of Famers. Juan Soto is surely on the track for that. At the end of this contract, could it end up not looking great? Sure. He doesn't care. He's trying to make a name for himself, the Mets. He's trying to win a few World Series along the way. And this is what he had to do. I don't love the rotation as it sits, but we didn't love the rotation last year
Yeah.
going into the season. And guess what? We ended up really liking the rotation at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Sevy pitched great. Manaea found his way. Quintana, gave really good, meaningful innings to them. So you have Senga for a full season now. Can Montas or Clay Holmes be your next Severino? Maybe. Can they bring Manaea back? It sure seems like that's what they're trying to do. But yeah, I also have them as a winner. I'm in on the Clay Holmes to starter bandwagon. I think it could work out. They are 100% winners of the winter meeting.
They have to be. You added a generational hitter, a guy that gets compared to Ted Williams and Bonds. Like, you don't need to look at the sweet access and the escalator to 55 mil. Maybe there's a day where that feels smaller. I don't know. I don't. It might be 10, 15 years from now.
What's Bitcoin's at 106,000 right now?
Go.
So you don't think Steve Cohen's got some Bitcoin?
I'd assume so. I don't really know. How about we jump to the opposite end of the scale? I got to get away from the East Coast. Although Phillies are an interesting convo. There's a lot of interesting combos. The opposite side of the coin I'm talking about is your Oakland A's, who
I like this conversation.
Have been a lot more active than we would have thought. They give Luis Severino the biggest contract in Oakland athletics history. And then they trade for Jeffrey Springs, who I think he was a huge part of that Tampa Bay Rays undefeated April a couple years ago, and just a nice pitcher who made his way back at the end of last season and had a couple good starts and was kind of looking like he was going to be a big part of the Rays' potential bounce-back season that we were going to have. I think you and I both have them above the Toronto Blue Jays right now, and you never know where the Rays are going to truly land. But the Oakland Athletics have added 2 solid starting pitchers. We don't know where they're going to play. They're called the Athletics now. And Trev, if you look at the lineup and you like young talent, what do you see?
Okay. A lot of things going on here. Obviously, they're playing in West Sacramento this year. So it's not going to be easy for them to bring in more talent. They're going to have to kind of, I guess, quote unquote, overpay. I don't know who else is going to offer Sevy a 3-year 67. Although, I don't think that's watching him pitch last year doesn't seem like too much of an overreach. Maybe an extra year. I think that's kind of probably what's sealed the deal there. I thought it was really funny. There was a picture of him and I believe his wife, and he's just freaking got his outfit on, dude. Just signed his contract, and he's looking out over a minor league ball field.
Yeah.
It's like him looking like this. And I'm like, dude, I know what you're thinking right here. Hey, you're happy for the money, but you go from playing in New York, both sides of New York, to, no offense to West Sacramento, had a lot of great times in Sacramento. But it's a stark change. I don't love their team, the A's, as much as Jolly said. If he looked right now, they'd be
it's a little hot.
Has them winning the AL West. I don't have them there yet. I think the Rangers, who we really haven't talked about yet, I have the Rangers as a W in the winter meetings. Eovaldi and Jake Berger. I think I want to see what their number is. They're one of the most slept on teams in all of baseball. Yes. They had a shitty year last year. They were hurt. They have a ton of talent on that team. So I'd probably have them as my favorite right now. Here's the thing. This is the interesting part of all this. I love JP Sears. I think he's going to be great for them. You match him with Sevy. They have some guys there. This is the interesting part. This is where we're going to bring Kyle Gibson into the fold.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
The reports are that because of the CBA, they're finally going to get to 100% revenue sharing, which means they're going to get close to $70 million for not doing anything.
Right.
Now, they are trying to raise because you have to spend 150% of the revenue sharing on your roster, which would mean they'd have to get to $105 million. Right now, they're sitting at 88.5. If they don't get there, there's a possibility that the Players Association is going to file a grievance against the A's, which has been like talked about for many years, and they won't possibly receive that revenue sharing. So, a couple things. Obviously, they're making these signings. Hey, Sevy, come get some of this cash over here. We got to get to 105. There's a couple guys who could really take advantage of this because it is very hard, Jake,
right,
to convince someone to come play. Like, who was that I was thinking of? I was reading something they mentioned, like, oh, Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler ain't going to go play in a minor league.
I'll lock
He's
one
not.
thing in. I'll tell you where Walker Buehler is not signing.
Not going to go there, right?
No.
Kyle Gibson. I think he'd be okay with it. Like, Gibby. If he's like, hey, what are these teams offering me? 1 year 15? Oh, the A's are offering me 1 year 22. Kyle Gibson to the A's. Brent Rooker. Also.
Right.
He's making 5.1 this year through arbitration. There was some article that was talking about, well, they could look to sign him to an extension,
right,
and just kind of like up his AAV just so they get to the 105 number. Do it, guys. Brent Rooker, go sign an extension through ARB. Don't give away your free agent years. Sign it through ARB. Get your AAV up because they have to increase payroll.
Right.
And it's not as easy as going in and just signing free agents. You're playing in a minor league park. So the guys that are already there that can't move anyway, like Brent Rooker should be trying to get paid, trying to up his AAV. And then a guy like Gibby came to my mind. I'm like, I could see Gibby pitching for the A's in 2025.
The kind of crazy thing
get
is,
there, Jake.
Trev, they have a little bit of pitching. I mean, we're obviously grading on a slightly different scale, but Sevy, Springs, Sears, Mitch Spence had 24 starts last year. Joey Estes had 24 starts last year. So they're interesting because I know teams are daydreaming about salary dumping to Oakland, and what does that throw in a prospect? What does that do for the A's? They've got a lot of ways they can go with it, and I know our guy Jolly was a little too excited, but Brent Rooker, by the numbers, is a guy. Lawrence Butler, it looked like the breakout happened last year. JJ Bleday, kind of the same. Like, his extra base hits was nuts. Langeliers hit 29 homers last year.
Jake, 26 in runs.
Sure.
25th in OBP, 20th in OPS.
That's exactly,
some of these guys are great.
That's exactly why I'm saying you don't sign Kyle Gibson, you sign a hitter. Because we
26 in ERA, 26 in WHIP. Like, right. they need guys.
They need guys. But they just Severino and Springs, like, that's for a lot of teams.
I'm just saying they need to get to that 105. So who are you bringing in?
I would spend the money on hitting.
Okay.
And it's at that point, it's who takes it. Sevy.
I'll go back to the A's.
Right,
I've done it once.
Like, Sevy, for Sevy, he was at the peak of the game. The Yankees' young fireballing ace. Things fell apart. Last year, he has a nice bounce back with the Mets. It was still like a 1-8 B WAR, and what's really in there. That, he turned down the qualifying offer. He got a 3-year deal that it could have been with whoever. That if there's the hitter version of Sevy, you go out and you do that. And then if you get traded or, not to be rude to, I know there's a ton of interest in Christian Walker. He's 34. Like, if he gets the biggest bag from the A's, is that insane? I don't know. A little bit.
He's looking for payout.
If you're Ha-Sung Kim, is that nuts?
Couple people that MLB trade rumors mentioned, they're saying, they want third base help. Bregman's probably not in the plans.
I don't see Breggy doing it.
But Jorge Polanco, Yohan Moncada. I guess they're trying to trade for Alec Boehm.
Is the hitter version of Sevy not Gleyber Torres? If the A's throw the bag at him, I don't know, Trev. I gotta wash my hands from that convo. I don't like it.
It's interesting, right? But they get Jeffrey Springs. He's nasty. Change of guy. You told me, like, at the beginning of the show, you threw at me a Jeff Springs change. I'm swinging over the top of it. Now, if you try to come inside with that. I might turn on it. I don't know. In that return, I think the other kind of interesting name going back to the Rays, and it got to scare you a little bit, is this guy Joe Boyle. I watched a video on him today. Big dude.
Yeah.
Cheese at the top of the zone, wipeout slider. Obviously has a ton of control issues, command issues where he, just walked a ton of people. But you get him in the Rays organization, they tweak a few things, and now are we looking at some sort of front end starter? I don't know. That takes some work. I don't think it's just as easy as putting him on the Rays. Like he's got to figure some things out. But the arm talent is there. I believe they also got a draft pick, a competitive pick there, competitive round pick. So Rays doing Rays things, essentially.
Trev, the ultimate compliment for Joe Boyle. He was having kind of a weird start against the Yankees. Like you mentioned, he's a pretty erratic, but has a lot of arm talent. Dan Rourke, who might be our craziest Yankee fan, produces baseball today. After the Joe Boyle start, he was in the office and he's like, that guy kind of had future Yankee vibes, huh? It's like, yeah.
That's a huge compliment.
Because he was throwing a hunch, and he's just got to figure it out. And he probably will. That comes with time. Trev, let's do a little West Coast, and then we'll bring it back to the beautiful Central. But I'm just laughing. If you click on San Francisco's Fangraphs baseball roster resource page, their two biggest free agents have signed with the Dodgers. Snell and Conforto have gone there. Now they brought in Willy Adames. And the West as a whole, it's just, what are we fighting for right now? Because the Dodgers literally aren't going anywhere. Like, there's almost, in a sport that is unpredictable, the Dodgers can't take steps back because they are that talented. That I don't know. Maybe are the Padres the losers of the West right now? Because nobody knows what is going on with them.
I want to give San Francisco credit for bringing Willie in, kind of like a culture-changing guy. Buster's doing his thing out there. They need to do more for me to They won in the fact they got Willy Adames to sign there, but they're not winners just yet because, the Dodgers, for fun, sign Michael Conforto. For fun. And you're right. They took your Cy Young winner and Blake Snell. They're just on a different level. I don't think you're playing to win the NL West right now. You're just not. You're playing to get into the playoffs and make some noise. So I have them as kind of like middle of the pack. They did a good job. They got their guy. By all accounts, that was their main target, was Willy Adames. Got him. Now what are you going to do? What's the next step? You have to make more moves here. As we're sitting December 16th, they really haven't. So right now, purgatory for the Giants. Padres, on the other hand, they're interesting to me. I mean, there's rumors of them trying to trade Dylan Cease. Why? Like, what are we doing? Like, you have a good team. You could have knocked the Dodgers out. You had them on the ropes. Yeah. So don't go backwards. If they end up doing that, I'm gonna give them a huge "what is he doing, baby?" Like I mean, if you listen to the Dodgers talk, all of them, managers, players, that was their World Series. They beat Padres. That was what they felt was their biggest challenge. So don't go backwards. These guys are admittedly scared of you. They're at least, they give you much more thought than any other team. So we'll see what they do. They need to figure some things out. I don't think trading Dylan Cease is the right thing for them to do. I don't.
Yeah, it's, Profar and Kim are two of the more interesting free agents out there, and Tanner Scott, who's going to get a lot of money. It is interesting just looking at the parts out. Don't look as jarring as I thought, but our resident Padre fan, Ryan Cohen, I think he tweeted out this morning, he's like, I don't know the plan. I don't know the next move. Are we selling? Are we sell buying? There's Arias rumors out there. Like, is he on the table? I don't know, but you're right. I mean, they were up 2-1 on the Dodgers, and it was right in front of them. That now there's a ton of question marks. And yeah, for the Giants, it's great, and you have a little bit of an identity with Adames and Matt Chapman on the left side. We love that. But it still feels like they need more, and maybe it's all just thrown off by the Dodgers because they're up. They signed Conforto for $17 million as like a nothing. I don't want to say a nothing move because that's rude to them and Conforto, but like on the Dodgers Richter scale, that's nothing.
I like the Giants how they're constructed. If everyone goes off, essentially, there's like little room for error, I think, is what I'm saying here. Yeah. Like they have some guys in that lineup. There's guys that you like. Jung-Hoo Lee, can you be the guy that everyone thinks you can be at the top of the lineup? Great. Behind Tim, you have Wade. Willie's doing it. You have Chapman. Fitzgerald came and crushed it last year. Now he's moving to second base. Maybe a little bit of pressure off of him. Elliot Ramos came up and was a baller last year. So like if you look up and down the lineup, like they have guys. Like that's a pretty solid lineup. They'll have to freaking do it. Right. And like I said, the room for error is not big, but like I like the lineup. You could talk about the pitching staff. Like again, I like it. Like there's obviously track record with Logan Webb. Robbie Ray can be absolutely filthy. Jordan Hicks has some of the best stuff in the game when right. Like they have guys there. Kyle Harrison has, shown at times that he can be a stud. So like they have talent there. I don't know about depth right now. Like the depth is kind of what they're lacking, but if all goes right, everyone stays healthy. Like this is a team that 100% could be fighting for a wild card spot. I don't have them winning the division. I don't. And even the best case scenario, I do not. But playoffs, yeah.
Buster Posey back. Trev, I'm actually surprised. There's not as many moves. There's so many small ones. Like Blake Trinan, like 2 years, $22 million. Yeah, he's a really good reliever. He's back with the Dodgers. I don't know if our analysis goes a ton deeper than that. He's good. What's that smile? You like that?
I'm just thinking, it's true though. What do you say on the Dodgers? Got a great team. Gonna win the NOS.
The argument is closer to like, do we need to limit teams more? Like that's where they're at. God, if they get Roki Sasaki, watch out. Hey, maybe I can't wait to finish with the Central, but you just said you liked what Texas has done. They got Jake Berger for, I don't want to say cheap, but prospects you haven't heard of, and he's got easy 30 home run power and can slot in as a depth piece for them. They re-signed Eovaldi, so you like what's going on in Texas, it sounds like.
I do. They just were crushed with injuries last year, so we have a very sour taste in what we feel about the Rangers. Yeah, they won the World Series. It was all good. They had guys come up there and ball out. If I'm looking at their lineup right now, you're talking, again, if everyone's healthy, Jonah Heim, Nate Lowe, Simeon Seager, Evan Carter, Josh Young, like they have a ton of guys in that lineup. Like it is deep. And they have Jacob deGrom coming back. Like I'm very curious to see what's going on with that. I love Nathan Eovaldi. He's like one of my favorite pitchers. Right. He's like my new David Robertson.
Oh wow!
Like sign Eovaldi. He's going to give you like solid starts. He can dial it up when he needs to. He's the guy. I just think that they have a squad there that people have forgotten about. Mainly because last year was just crappy for them. They never were in it whatsoever. Most of it was due to injuries. So like, look, dude, this is a team that come back, spring training, everyone's healthy. Like I said before, I'm curious to see what their over-under is going to be like. I'm probably going to smash the over on it.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like a lot of other teams, actually their lineup, there's not a ton of holes. Even their bench. Like
that's what I'm saying, dude. They have a squad.
Josh Smith currently listed on the bench. Zeke Duran, who was the Josh Smith the year before that. Leody Tavares. So like you'd like another starting pitcher, maybe. You could say that for literally every team, but I don't know. Does DeGrom have a year in him? Like, does DeGrom have a 25 start season in him? because he's on this team now, and so is Evaldi and John Gray, that it feels like they have some bullpen work to do, and they can do that. And you wonder, is that a Tanner Scott landing area? Is that? But I already feel myself buying Texas stock for next year, and it's also because Houston is currently, you have to say currently in the L column. It feels like they're going to do work, but currently Bregman is out there and Tucker's gone. That like,
agreed. I mean, yeah, you got Paredes, play third base. I think that's a downgrade from Alex Bregman. You're going to be hard pressed to replace a guy like Kyle Tucker. We'll see, man. I have them in my L column as well. They could land some players and they could have a good year because we've seen them do that before. We've seen them lose players and come back and figure everything out. Power rankings, AL West. I think, gosh, that's actually really tough. I want to say I'm going to go Rangers as my number one team.
I think it's currently Texas, Houston, Seattle. Oh, no.
Oakland and then the A's, or then the Angels. Or don't say Oakland, by the way.
Right, the Athletics. And then I think, but you can make an argument for the top three. I'm obviously scorned by Seattle for no reason.
They're still up there. Yeah, they're a top three team in the AL West.
Go get
However you want to put it.
Go get Casas. Go. God, Seattle. I can't start with them this deep into the show. Does anything in the Central need to be discussed?
I don't think so.
That's crazy, dude.
What's happened?
The Cubs got Kyle Tucker. I mean, they deserve.
Sure, we had a whole episode on that already.
You're right, Matthew Boyd. The Brewers are brewing, and we'll see what's next. The Pirates, dude. That Luis Ortiz trade just made me hot. Like, that's a win for Cleveland. They got off of Gimenez's money, and they got Luis Ortiz to throw them $160 this year. They're just operating differently.
The Reds do something. Let's go. Twins aren't going to do anything. Tigers, what are you doing? What is you doing, baby?
Yeah.
You got some young guys that we like. You just, kind of shocked the world in your playoff run.
Alex Cobb.
Go get Jack Flaherty. Let's go.
Oh.
Go bring him back.
Jordan Romano to the Phillies.
That's not essential.
Nice. Trev, I think that's all I've got. Shane Bieber back to the Guards. Nice. Familiar. See you at the deadline.
Who's your favorite in the AL Central this year? Good luck.
My favorite in the AL Central. It's Cleveland.
It's so funny because I still think like this division kind of stinks. Yet there's 3 representatives. It's not the Royals? You don't have the Royals?
I need more.
Okay.
Cleveland's track record, man.
Hey, here's something in the Central. I just signed my deal to call games again for the Twins.
Wow. That's huge.
Breaking news. Yeah.
Huge.
Biggest news that's come out of the Central so far.
That is big. No wonder they can't sign anyone. Trev, I think we wrap it for now. We'll see what else we've got in the coming days. Thank you guys for tuning in. We might have some creative eps coming up as we lead into the holidays next week. What? Stink. No Yankees talk. Oh.
What did you guys do? Sign my friend Max.
Seen that? Max Fried to Devin Williams. Done.
I like that. Isn't a hit though.
Gotta score one.